Have you ever wondered how a low-income earner in Vietnam survives through scorching hot days? Is the money earned with sweat and effort under the burning sun enough to cover the expensive cost of living in the capital? Hello everyone, I'm Nam, a 26-year-old bee rider in Hanoi. Today, my body woke up completely exhausted from yesterday's rides. But for a low-income person in this city, if you stop, your rent and meal money for that day will disappear instantly. Once again, I put on my familiar uniform and cover my face to start the 14-hour hustle ahead. The first ride of the day brought me 15,000 Vietnam dong, which is less than 60 cents. After that, luck smiled on me when I got a delivery order from my Din bus station. It was a box of hometown gifts sent from the countryside to a young person living in Hanoi. This ride was long and heavy, but in return, I earned 70,000 Vietnam dong, about $2.80. Following that was a 15,000 Vietnam dong ride and a 50,000 Vietnam dong, $2 ride.
Vâng, để của em đây luôn.
Em cảm ơn ạ. Hơi nặng, em không cảm nhé.
My next ride led me to pick up a passenger at a newly built luxury apartment complex. Standing at the base of the glittering glass skyscraper, watching people rush in and out, I suddenly looked back at myself. As a low-income earner, owning a small apartment of my own in this capital city is probably a luxury dream that I might never achieve in my entire life. With the average income of a tech rider, after deducting living expenses, I can only save a few million Vietnam dong each month. Meanwhile, the price of a basic apartment in Hanoi has now reached several billion Vietnam dong. This massive gap between income and housing prices acts like an invisible wall, burying any hope of settling down for poor laborers like me. Sometimes, looking at the warm lights shining from those windows high above, I wonder, when will there be a home of my own in this city of millions? Leaving the apartment complex, I dived straight into Hanoi and Apo's next specialty. Rush hour traffic jams. The already narrow streets now seem to suffocate as thousands of vehicles budged meter by meter. Exhaust fumes mingled with the sweltering heat rising from the asphalt, making the air thick and heavy. Taking advantage of the moment when the traffic was completely gridlocked, I quickly pulled my bike to the curb under a rare patch of shade. Taking off my sweat-soaked mask, I could finally breathe a sigh of relief. My throat was burning dry with thirst. I reached for the water bottle I brought along and took a huge gulp. The cold water flowing down my throat felt like a lifesaver, snapping me back to reality in the middle of this 36 degrees Celsius furnace. By now, my stomach was growling too. It was time to refuel for the afternoon. Around 11 a.m., the sky of Hanoi felt like a furnace. The outdoor forecast temperature reached 36 degrees Celsius, but the asphalt road surface must have been over 40 degrees Celsius. The suffocating heat rising from the bike and Apo's engine and the road made my head spin. After finishing 7 more trips, my body sent a warning signal. I had to turn off the app to go home and rest. My total morning income was nearly 300,000 Vietnam dong, equivalent to about $12. Not a bad number for trading with sweat. Just look at the owner and Oppo's swift hands. She flips the golden pieces of tofu and green rice patties, sizzling in the boiling oil, while quickly ladling shrimp paste into a bowl and adding some bright red fresh chili slices. Next, she uses scissors to cut the rice noodles into bite-sized pieces, arranging them neatly on the platter. Then she adds the chewy squid patties and flavorful green rice patties, and tops it off with the freshly fried tofu pulled straight from the hot oil pan. The rising steam carrying that signature aroma makes it impossible for me to resist.
Cho đầy luôn.
For lunch today, I chose to stop by a budget Bun Dau Mam Tom rice noodle with fried tofu and shrimp paste shop on the sidewalk. This is a very iconic Hanoi street food that any foreigner visiting here should try at least once. Look at this generous food platter. It has fried tofu, golden and crispy on the outside but soft inside, rich pork sausage, chewy squid patties, fragrant green rice patties, and bite-sized pieces of rice noodles. It also comes with a grilled chicken skewer. The soul of this dish is the pungent bowl of fermented shrimp paste. Sitting here, drinking a free glass of ice water, and watching the hardworking ladies stand by the hot oil pan, I appreciate this meal more than ever. This hearty meal only cost me 35,000 Vietnam dong, which is less than $1.50. A very cheap price to recharge energy for a low-income worker. The afternoon started with heat even more intense. A rider in Oppo's worst nightmare is waiting out long 90-second red lights at intersections with no tree shade. It feels like the heat pierces through the jacket, burning the skin. Sweat pours down, soaking the headscarf, but I told myself not to give up. The afternoon usually has longer trips with higher pay. A 57,000 Vietnam dong, about $2.30 ride. A 51,000 Vietnam dong, about $2 ride, and a 30,000 Vietnam dong ride. My workspace is not just wide avenues, but mostly the narrow alleys of Hanoi. Some alleys are deep and endless, barely wide enough for two motorbikes to squeeze past each other. Riding in here requires an extremely steady hand and absolute patience. The fuel gauge flashes red, so I have to pull into a gas station. In Vietnam, refueling during rush hour is like a ritual. You have to line up, turn off the engine, open the trunk beforehand, and hold cash in your hand so the process goes as fast as possible without wasting the time of those behind you. Today, I filled up with 60,000 Vietnam dong of gas, about $2.40. Every time gas prices go up, the pockets of tech riders like me get a little emptier. Towards the end of the afternoon, I received an order to pick up items at a famous traditional Vietnamese donut shop named Huy Dong. Seeing the golden, hot, savory, and sweet donuts neatly packed in plastic bags suddenly warmed my heart. While there, I asked the staff for some cold ice water to fill the empty bottles I carried with me. Working people in Vietnam are always kind to each other like that. They are willing to share a cool sip of water or a kind word to help those hustling on the street like me forget the fatigue.
Đúng rồi.
7 p.m. I finished my last ride and returned to my small rented room. Taking off the helmet, My hair was soaking wet and sticky from the sweat accumulated all day. A long 14-hour workday under the scorching sun has finally closed. The total amount of money I earned today is 630,000 Vietnam dong, equivalent to about $25. After deducting 60,000 Vietnam dong for gas and 35,000 Vietnam dong for lunch, I have about $21 left. This amount of money might only equal 1 hour of work for many people in developed countries. But for a low-income person like Nam, it is an extraordinary effort just to survive, pay for life, and nurture my own small dreams. The struggle for a livelihood is never easy, but I believe that as long as we don an appos, to give up, every drop of sweat shed today will bring sweet rewards tomorrow. Thank you so much for accompanying Nam throughout this long day. If you love this perspective on a worker in Appos' life in Hanoi, please hit like and subscribe to support and motivate me on my upcoming journeys. Wish you all a very peaceful evening.